What's up, guys? In this video, let's talk about how to give a shit less. And this is something that no matter how old you get, no matter how much you think you'll give a shit, there's always more to not give a shit about. Okay? Obviously, it's important to give a shit about things that truly matter, like your health, fitness, finances, whatnot. However, certain things you gotta not give a shit about is how people perceive you. It's important to be perceived like, as someone who is a high value person. You don't want to be perceived as someone who's a low value, but also, of course, who gives a fuck what people think, you know? And the way you give a shit less, first of all of this stuff's going to happen as you get older, right? So I was thinking about this the other day, how right now I'm 30, but of course, when I was like early 20s, younger, high school, whatever, I cared so much what people thought about me. And it was really crippling. And just naturally, as you get older, you give a shit less. Certain things helped me out to not give a shit as much. And that was, working in a job where you interact with a shit ton of people all the time. So maybe you wanted to get some restaurant work, If you work in a restaurant as someone who's the front of house staff, server, bartender, even a busser to start, or a hostess, whatever. Just the sheer amount of people you fucking see all the time and have interact with, you're gonna start developing a pattern of like, man, fuck these people. Like, legit, you see people, and sometimes they're worse. People who are fucking hangry, they're hungry and they're fucking angry. Dude, you see people, you're like, man, why the fuck is this motherfucker, this grown ass man, fucking complaining and crying about food? He's fat as fuck, like all this shit, and you're like, man, you start giving a less about people, what the fuck you think, the more you interact with the general public. So if you get a job that gets you to interact with the general public, just that alone, you're going to start caring less about people, because you're going to see people and patterns and seeing people who are just like shitty people who are really friendly people, and you're just going to be like, man, just a sheer of like interactions, you're going to care less. Okay. Also, do things that are purposely kind of like embarrass yourself. Think about every time you've done something that was scary, embarrassing, public speaking, whatever, you come out of that situation a little bit stronger, a little bit, you don't care as much, right? So one great thing you can do is, Lucy, come here. Sorry, I got my dog, we going hiking. So one thing you can do is purposely embarrass yourself. Go and drive to a city far from you, and maybe do some shit that's like purposely really fucking weird shit. Like lay on the ground and watch people as they like want to walk past you and look at you weird. I've never done that, but I've seen people on YouTube and do that and say that's really great. One thing, cold approach. That's something I've done. I've definitely embarrassed the fuck out of myself going up to a girl I found attractive, and kind of stuttering and shit like that, and not speaking clearly, and you get to the point where you start laughing. You start thinking that shit's funny. Like the first couple times, you're scared, right? You're pretty nervous. You do it more and more, and you get to the point where you're like, man, this is just a fucking NPC right here. I don't give a fuck about what they have to say. No matter how pretty this chick is, I really don't care, because she wakes up in the morning, takes a giant fucking shit, smells disgusting. It's probably worse than your shits in the morning, and she's just got nothing going on except for her looks. And you start feeling bad for her, and you start seeing patterns of women just like that, where you're like, of course, I'm not saying it's a blanket statement. I'm saying a pretty girl has nothing going on for her besides her looks, but all of them do, man. All of them, literally. Sorry, I'm like fucking getting better at my cardio or something. I'm huffing and puffing. But all these chicks, dude, after you do a lot of cold approach and you realize, man, this bitch ain't shit. These girls ain't shit. They're literally just fucking pretty to look at, but underneath that, it's nothing. There's nothing they have to fucking add. So you stop caring. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that kind of get me to stop giving shit as much is cold approach, guys. So no matter how hard is that first, how scary it is to go out and talk to a girl who's you know, a complete stranger. Do that shit sober. I'm telling you guys, you'll fucking grow thick skin quickly. And really, making videos on YouTube, put yourself out in social media. That's another thing. That's another great thing of how to give a shit less. It's because you got people commenting crazy shit and trying to be super rude and whatnot. And you're like, wow, who fucking cares? Because you realize that these people who comment those weird shit and that really offensive stuff are people with no self-esteem. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for now. Like I said, as you get older, you start naturally not caring. But if you put yourself in situations where you're interacting with people quite a bit, it's an easy way and a cheat code of not caring as much quickly. Anyways, peace.